one of the important concepts of Vedic astrology, which is Jupiter in houses. So Jupiter in all houses, starting from ascendant to 12th house. So as I mentioned in my previous videos, Jupiter is a guide, teacher, a divine intelligence. Jupiter is expansion, optimism. He's a karaka for money, he's karaka for spirituality, father, long distance travel. He's a karaka for celebration, he's a karaka for peace of mind. And what else? Jupiter is karaka for children, is karaka for fortune. So the position of Jupiter in individual's horoscope is very crucial. So with respect to how robust the chart is, in case an individual comes across difficult situations, life-threatening situations, so how would he sail through is actually indicated by the position of Jupiter in one's horoscope. So Jupiter being in Kendra, especially in 1, 4, 7, 10, is highly auspicious. So it was written in Vedic text that a boy who was born with many problems, many doshas in his chart, still if Jupiter is in Kendra, he would survive. So Jupiter is such a great, mighty planet that it would not destroy any of the significations of the house, any house it is placed. So the Jupiter role is always to protect, safeguard individual. But in addition to that, there is one thing I would like to mention is every planet has two things. One is significations and another is lordship. What is significations and what is lordship? So basically significations are derived from the natural zodiac, starting from Aries, like what are the houses basically this planet to signify. So the planets actually inherit properties being a significator. So that's actually common for everyone. And apart from that, a planet carries lordship also. So suppose say for a Aries ascendant, Jupiter is 9th lord and 12th lord. So here the significations of Jupiter for this particular ascendant is in sync with the natural significations of Jupiter. So consider Capricorn. For Capricorn, Jupiter owns 3rd house and 12th house. So in addition to the natural significations that Jupiter carries, 9 and 12. So for Capricorn, he carries another two significations, 3rd and 12th. Yeah, 12th is common actually for both. And also there are other significations because of the aspects the planets actually have got that special signification. So Jupiter has a 5th aspect, that's why he has become a karaka for children. And Jupiter has a 9th aspect, that's why he has become karaka for fortune, father, long distance travel and spirituality. And Jupiter has a 7th aspect, so in a woman's chart, Jupiter is a husband. So now coming to Jupiter in various houses, okay. So Jupiter in 1st house. So Jupiter in 1st house is a very good placement. So this makes a person noble, a self-made person with a lot of self-esteem, confidence, and a lot of positive thinking. So basically he's a guide for many people. So whether it could be an enterprise or it could be a society, many people would be following him. That is, Jupiter in ascendant means. Being in ascendant, Jupiter aspects 7th house. So it basically signifies spouse. So for these people, the spouse will be of Jupiterian quality, characteristics. And also the public relationships, partnership, contracts, basically, they are all influenced by this Jupiter aspect, because Jupiter has the seventh aspect. So the other aspect, Jupiter has a fifth aspect from ascendant. He aspects fifth house. So basically, it's kind of whatever be the house that receives Jupiter's aspect. So that house is said to be very auspicious and nourishing. So with fifth aspect, so basically Jupiter nourishes his children, the relationships, and influence higher education, creativity, arts, entertainment, sports. And Jupiter aspects ninth house for being in ascendant. So basically, this is also very good actually. So basically, it protects the elements of ninth house, which is father, spirituality, long distance travel, and fortune. So now coming to Jupiter in second house. So Jupiter in second house is very good with respect to financial status. So it makes the person wealthy. That is one thing. The other thing is, so these people are they have very sweet tongue, and they are conscious of how to deal with people. Because of their speech, they win many hearts. So their speech carries a lot of weight in either in social life or at their career or in their career or wherever it is in the family. Jupiter in second house like makes a person talk like very mature kind of personality, and they maintain a lot of discipline. They have control over their speech, they have control over their diet habits. And so from second house, Jupiter aspects eighth house. So basically this is also good. Basically eighth house is longevity. So Jupiter aspecting eighth house actually amplifies the particular characteristic. And also eighth house is known for other negative things also, like accidents, sudden changes, and few things like inheritance, joint assets, marital life. So Jupiter, so seventh aspect on eighth house from second is actually blessing for the individual. So these people, even though they have dispute, they have heated up arguments, but still, after that, everything will be all right between the couple. And also Jupiter with the seventh aspect, when he aspects eighth house, so he basically blesses individual with inheritance, insurance, because Jupiter is a dhanakaraka, sudden gains. So this position in the second house Jupiter is actually very good. And from with fifth aspect, Jupiter aspects sixth house. So basically Jupiter connection to sixth house is again a good thing, because what happens is if Jupiter is situated in any malefic house like 6, 8, 12, he'll basically try to balance that house so that the negativity is not amplified. So Jupiter aspect in the sixth house makes a person Ajatashatru, a person who has no enemies. And also he protects the health of an individual. So with the ninth aspect, Jupiter aspects their 10th house, which is very good. So 10th house is career, name, fame, social status, and karma, one's karma. So Jupiter aspecting 10th house, basically it's a big blessing for an individual. So basically it protects the characteristics of 10th house. So they'll have gradual improvement in their career, social status because of this aspect. And Jupiter in third house. So Jupiter is a certain planet who does really well in certain houses, who may not does well in certain houses, and he's neutral in certain houses. So third house is basically the house of longevity. So Jupiter is for life, and Jupiter is Karaka for life. So a person who has Jupiter in third house is said to have Balarishta. So when he was young, um, like he was prone to life threats. So that's what the meaning of Balarishta is. Because there is a saying in astrology like Karake Bhavanashinaha. Okay, and usually malefic planets they do well in third house because third house is a house of action, energy, and aggression. So Jupiter is a very sattvic planet, a soft planet. So he won't really do well in third house because whatever be the planet in third house, it has to combat, it has to fight against adverse situation that one faces. So Jupiter is not a fighter, is not a good fighter. But of course, it actually blesses individual with other aspects of Jupiter. So basically, third house is for communication, publishing, writing, and will. So basically, Jupiter amplifies these elements. So from third house, Jupiter aspects their seventh house with fifth aspect. So it makes the spouse of individual creative, entertaining, beautiful, caring and nurturing. So Jupiter with seventh aspect aspects ninth house, so which is again basically good because here two things happen. Whatever be the planet in third house, it actually aspects ninth house. So there is a basically a connection between will and fortune, which is called fate. So with third house Jupiter, so Jupiter initiates, makes an individual to put an effort in a right direction, and he pulls the fortune with the seventh aspect. So with the ninth aspect, Jupiter aspects 11th house, so which is good for fulfillment of desires, elder siblings, gains, vehicles, material property possessions, and luxuries, and a big social network circle. So it makes a person very famous and popular in his community, in his network circle. And coming to Jupiter in fourth, so again Jupiter is Karaka for house, so Karake Bhavanashinaha. So when Jupiter is in fourth house, so the person is actually kind of lives with contentment, and the person's mother is of nourishing and mentoring kind of personality. And wherever be the Jupiter is positioned actually, so Jupiter always gives in proportion, in right proportion, not in excess, not in short. So these people, if they are happy with whatever they have in their life, so they are very blessed with this position. And Jupiter in fourth, because Vijja Karaka in Vijjasthana, again Karake Bhavanashinaha. So what happens is when Karaka occupies a bhava, he takes things granted. Oh, I am a scholar, I don't need to spend extra effort. With a little effort, I would be able to secure good marks, and they fail. And Saturn 8th house, Saturn is Aish Karaka, is a Karaka of significator for longevity. When he is in 8th house, what happens? Karake Bhavanasana again. Okay, I have long life, I don't need to care about my habits and my lifestyle. Let me enjoy life.